Hello, everybody, and welcome to Right Here, Right Now, live Buffalo football talk presented by Forefathers Organics. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, here for the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park, and in this case, Kansas City, for the AFC Championship game coming up on Sunday. Thanks to our friends at Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right. How's everybody feeling out there? Hours away from kickoff here in Kansas City, the AFC Championship game coming up. I'm sure the nerves are brewing for Bills Mafia back in Buffalo. The Bills Mafia members here in Kansas City. I've seen quite a few Bills fans here littered throughout the streets in Kansas City, including on my X account. I posted a Bills-mobile that was blasting, I believe, Benny the Butcher, an old Bills anthem, in the parking lot of Q39 barbecue joint here in Kansas City. Saw the Bills defensive line eating dinner together at Q39. Also, a couple of offensive players as well. So, good vibes here in Kansas City, good eats, and we're ready for some good football coming up tomorrow night between the Bills and the Chiefs. Couldn't come to you on Friday. Travel day, had some work to do. So wanted to come to you on Saturday to bring you a preview and give you my prediction for this AFC Championship game. Before we get into the game preview, why don't we first reflect on what's in front of the Bills here this weekend in Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, and as some Chiefs fans have kind of phonily put out, I don't even know if that's a word, Allenhead Stadium, trying to rile up the fan base and Chiefs players alike. I don't know any Bills fan that's calling it Allenhead, but I guess I'll digress on that. And what the Bills have in this game, they have a chance. They've earned their opportunity to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl for the first time since the early 1990s, and what an opportunity they have in front of them, beating the Chiefs in the regular season, Week 11, by a 30-21 score. Now, the Bills have had trouble with the Chiefs in the past during the postseason, but a win under their belt this season, and really the question going into this game is, who's going to leave their legacy? Will it be Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who has a chance to become just the second quarterback in Bills history to reach the big game? Will it be Buffalo head coach Sean McDermott, who has taken the slings and arrows from his team's own fan base over the years despite a historic level of achievement? Will it be Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and head coach Andy Reid, who can become the first quarterback head coach combo to ever win 3 straight Super Bowls? Come Sunday evening, someone's going to walk out of Arrowhead Stadium a hero. And really the burning question on everybody's mind is, who's it going to be? And Josh Allen earlier this week said that's what we've worked for, an opportunity to play another week, and just said that this team doesn't want their season to end. There's a lot of pride in that locker room. He was asked about what's the difference with this year's team, and he said it's the love that they have for one another and the fear that they have for letting one another down, and they're hoping that that's going to carry them through this weekend against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that pride that really is reverberating throughout the Buffalo locker room, and especially this post-game locker room this past week after the win over the Baltimore Ravens, I think that stemmed largely from the silencing of many critics through the team's victorious effort. Since the outset of the season, there was many throughout the national media and even the local media who doubted the Bills' prospects as a playoff contender, much less a Super Bowl contender, but now 2 wins away from a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Disproving the doubters has been mighty gratifying for this group, and it's really served as this group's fuel as they've gone through the regular season and now 2 straight postseason victories. Allen also saying earlier this week, everyone was saying this and that about us, and that we didn't have enough talent, weren't good enough to be in these positions. And he just said that this team continued to work hard. They were internally driven. And like I said, they just love each other. And he said it was on full display, that love, this past week against the Baltimore Ravens. And while much has been accomplished by this team since being written off in April, the job still remains far from finished. I mentioned it on the last podcast. You had that big battle against the Baltimore Ravens, a lot riding on that game. You hadn't been through the divisional round in the past couple of seasons. You really needed to get that victory, as I said before, to silence some of the doubters and take some pressure off Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, not only heading into this game, but heading down the pike in their careers. But the expectations reset this week with the 2-time defending champions set to host the conference title game in their home stadium. The challenge put in front of the Bills this week is extremely daunting, but it's one that they're expected to get done. They come into this game as only, as I said before, a 1.5-point underdog, and typically home field worth about 2-3 points, depending on who you ask. So I think a lot of people are expecting the Bills to get this one done, and the Bills are well aware at the task that lies in front of them. I asked Josh Allen earlier this week about it, and he just said that this is a team that they beat earlier this season in the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's also a team that's transformed entirely since that Week 11 matchup. It's a team that's won 1-score games throughout the season, but they've added a bit of firepower since that matchup. DeAndre Hopkins has really gotten into the swing of things. He's not really a volume target for Patrick Mahomes per se, but still capable of putting forth a big performance. Hollywood Brown has since come back from injury, and Travis Kelce has turned into playoff Travis Kelce. So, and I also don't think the Chiefs had Isaiah Pacheco in that game. No, they didn't. Kareem Hunt, the leading rusher in that game, and the Chiefs also have Isaiah Pacheco back. So Josh Allen, well aware that this is an entirely different Kansas City Chiefs team going into what will be the 4th postseason meeting between Allen and Mahomes, Reed and McDermott, the Chiefs and the Bills since McDermott took over with Allen as his quarterback. The Chiefs have taken the previous 3 matchups, including a meeting in the 2020 AFC Championship, a game that wasn't close, followed by the fateful 13 seconds game, which the Bills should have come out on the winning end of in the 2021 divisional round, and then last season's divisional round contest also won by the Chiefs. And while the Chiefs have gotten the better of the Bills in all 3 matchups during the postseason, the rivalry between these two teams has been as even as it can be. I think I mentioned it on a previous podcast. 10 meetings, 251 points for each team, and 5 wins apiece through the last 10 meetings between these two teams. So it's been a bit lopsided in the postseason, but if you look at it overall, it's been quite even between these two teams. In the previous matchup, in Week 11, it was Josh Allen's 26-yard rumble for a touchdown that helped Buffalo clinch a 9-point victory. Mahomes was intercepted twice during the Chiefs' defeat, but as Allen alluded to, this Chiefs team has taken on a new identity. They've protected the football a little bit better as the season's gone on. And that's really what they do come postseason time. They don't make mistakes, do the Chiefs, and that's typically how they come out on the winning end of things. Both teams coming into this game with a wave full of momentum. Like I said, playing mistake-free football. When the weather gets colder, it seems like Mahomes and company up their game, and really the same with Allen and company, although they've stalled out late in the postseason the past couple of seasons. But I mentioned the clean football on the Chiefs side. On the Bills side, it's even more impressive. With 0 turnovers in their past 4 postseason games, the Bills became the first team in NFL history to be turnover-free through 4 consecutive playoff contests. They can extend that streak with another clean sheet here against the Kansas City Chiefs. And for a group that was once considered mighty turnover-prone, Josh Allen and company have really reined things in that regard. And And boy, has that been impressive for this offense. And you have to give Joe Brady and also this running game a lot of credit for that. I think I've mentioned that time and again, how they've helped really provide another option for this offense and taken some off of Josh Allen's plate. And if they hope to come out on the winning end against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to remain mistake-free. And that's the next question. Who's going to leave a legacy was the first question. Second question, who's going to avoid mistakes, and put itself in position to win the Super Bowl? Is it going to be Buffalo? Is it going to be Kansas City? Grab your popcorn, pull up a chair, get comfortable. It's sure going to be a good one on Sunday. But that's enough pomp and circumstance. Let's get down to some meat and potatoes concerning this matchup, as we have Tom checking in. I think that's West Virginia, Bills fan for life. Go Bills. Picture of Matt Milano. And I guess that's where we'll start. We'll start with the injuries. Milano, expected to play in this game, does not have an injury designation. Neither does Taron Johnson. Both of those two were dealing with injury throughout the week, but good to see that they'll enter this game ready to go. Taylor Rapp, the starting safety for the Bills, will be out in this game. That will leave rookie Cole Bishop to take his place. You're going to need more from Damar Hamlin in this game, especially making sure Cole Bishop is hearing the right communication, getting lined up in the right spot, and performing the correct coverage as well. We've seen some breakdowns on his part in the secondary throughout the season. Hopefully, we don't see Cole Bishop get beat over the top in this one. Another player with injury question, cornerback Christian Benford, in concussion protocol, missed Friday's practice with a personal issue, but there was a photo posted on the Bills website of Christian Benford boarding the Bills plane to Kansas City. That obviously bodes extremely well in terms of his status for this game, and also bodes well for whatever was going on in his personal life that led him to miss Friday's practice. So you're going to see Milano. You're going to see Taron Johnson. I believe you'll see Christian Benford. You will not see Taylor Rapp, which will leave Cole Bishop to perform in his place. And it's a little bit disappointing that it seems like every time a Bills-Chiefs playoff matchup comes around, the Bills are dealing with one or two significant injuries. And this time around, it's Taylor Rapp. Now, I think this is one that they can work through. Cole Bishop has been coming along as a rookie in that role. We'll see what he has to offer in his first postseason game. Micah Hyde asked about it earlier this week, said that Bishop doesn't really know the magnitude or understand the magnitude of what's in front of him this week. And Hyde thinks that's a good thing for Cole Bishop, not putting too much pressure on himself, just letting the moment come to him perhaps this weekend. And we'll see if the youngster can get it done in a big spot. And on the other side, KC, as healthy as can be entering this game. They had the opportunity at the end of the season to rest their starters for a number of weeks. The rest over rust conversation kind of sprung about to begin the postseason, but now they're full go entering this AFC Championship game. I don't see any rust possible. I think the Bills are going to get Kansas City's best shot here. A healthy roster, healthy offense, healthy defense. You just got to hope that the Bills are up for the task in this one. Last couple bits of preview information. The total, I mentioned the spread in this game is the Bills 1.5 point underdogs. The total is 48.5 per FanDuel. I think that's a good number. I think I'd go over, though, for that. It was 51 in the first matchup. I think we might even see it go over 51 in this game. So I think I would take the over. And I think I would bet the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win this game. I'll give you my prediction coming up on the other side of the break, coming up here shortly. The weather, gorgeous. Didn't even need a jacket today in Kansas City. There was, like I think I mentioned earlier, a Bills fan in a Bills-mobile. It was really an open air Bills-mobile. I don't know really how to describe it. You have to go to my X account. But it was obviously warm enough to do that. I was walking around the area near the stadium and downtown just to get a feel. I've never been to Kansas City, so I wanted to get a feel of stuff. And it was really beautiful out today. Game temperatures are going to near 30 degrees on Sunday, but very little wind, no precipitation. That should allow both offenses to operate at full efficacy, which should lead to an exciting matchup here in the AFC title game. It was cold last week, and that maybe tampered or tamped things down offensively, but I think you're going to see both offenses operate at their best this week. And speaking of this week, another week of Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the broadcast. CBS has really become the Bills' home station come playoff time. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's like 6 postseason games in a row or something that Romo and Nantz have called of the Bills. And Nantz called the Bills America's team a few broadcasts ago, and I think that rings very true. And I think these two are becoming Buffalo's broadcasters. So that's a little bit fitting for CBS. And finally, the head official in this one, Clete Blakeman. You went from last week, Carl Chuffers, his crew, the least penalties called in the NFL this season. And Bills came away from that game pretty clean in the penalty department, only 1 foul issued against them. But this week, Clete Blakeman's crew, I think it might be a mixed crew in the conference championship games. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Clete Blakeman's crew called the most penalties of any crew in the NFL this season. So the last thing anybody wants is for this one to come down to a penalty at the end of the game. Chiefs get the benefit of the call, and then that's all we're talking about on Sunday night, Monday morning, and into next week. If you look at the stats in the last 4 postseasons, it's really wild, wild stuff what the Chiefs have benefited from. 7 roughing the passer penalties called on Chiefs opponents, 1 on Kansas City. 4 unnecessary roughness penalties on Chiefs opponents, 1 on Kansas City. 11 defensive pass interference penalties or defensive holdings on Chiefs opponents, 2 on Kansas City. That per Warren Sharp. So it's really going to be the Bills versus everybody this weekend. You heard Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans talk about it last week. It was really them against everybody going into that game. Expect the same this week. If history tells us anything, the Chiefs are going to get the calls. The Bills are just going to have to battle through it. All right. That does it for some brief preview information. On the other side, we'll continue this discussion. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, we got a comment here on X from Pat Stanziano. My God, so nervous. Can't keep anything down. Was so excited after the win over the Ravens. Then things took a turn Thursday morning. Pat, my man, get some Alka-Seltzer. Eat some fiber. I don't know if that would help, but my goodness, man. Deep breaths. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep inhale, deeper exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Everybody try to relax. Woosah, Serenity Now, Frank Costanza style on Seinfeld. We're going to get through this. Less than 24 hours until game time. The excitement certainly brewing. Pat heaving over the toilet, it seems, as he gets mighty, mighty nervous for this matchup. Man, that made me laugh. All right. So next up, we'll give you a bit of analysis surrounding this matchup, as is available in Bills Digest. We've been coming out with free bonus editions for our subscribers throughout the postseason. If the Bills are to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl, we will have a 24-page print edition delivered to our subscribers via U.S. Postal Service. So cross your fingers. You'll get some good content if the Bills are to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl, courtesy of Bills Digest. And of course, right here on the Batavia Daily News, we've really ramped up our coverage this season. TheDailyNewsOnline.com, also subscription-based, but we'd really appreciate your patronage and anything you can do to support our work at the Batavia Daily News. But let's get a little bit of analysis out of the way before we get on out of here, and I get to bed early before an early, long day tomorrow here in Kansas City. So let's look at it from a Bills perspective, and specifically the Bills offense. When the Bills run the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs, I think the edge lies on the Bills side. Now, the Chiefs have done a solid job against the running game this season, but they have allowed a few big games to opposing rushing attacks throughout the year, including 86 yards and a touchdown on 18 carries to Joe Mixon during the divisional round. And the Bills, you saw them really ride the running game in their divisional round victory over the Baltimore Ravens. So I think once again, you'll see the Bills go to that running game, as history has told us that Kansas City has allowed a few big games on the ground this season. And the way that they rushed the passer this past week, downing C.J. Stroud on 8 of his 28 dropbacks, 3 sacks for George Karlaftis, 6 different Chiefs defenders down the Houston quarterback during the win. It's going to be a steeper challenge for the Kansas City defensive front this week, going up against the Bills offensive line that's been one of the best in the league. But still, this is a unit that the Bills are going to have to account for. It starts really with Chris Jones, the defensive tackle, but Karlaftis has proven throughout the season to be a mighty effective player, and they have a number of other players who can get it done as well, as was proven with 6 different players recording a sack this past week. And in the secondary, you have Trent McDuffie, you have Jalen Watson, who I mentioned at a previous podcast. You get Jalen Watson back last week. Trent McDuffie, the nickel cornerback, will do a lot of work against Khalil Shakir, I believe, in this one. So it could be a difficult matchup for Bills wide receivers in this one. I think you're going to see a lot of the tight ends. I also mentioned this on a previous podcast. This could be a Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox game. The Chiefs have allowed the most yardage to tight ends this season. I think that could continue this week. Look for the Bills to really try to work that play action, work off the running game, and try to hit some of their or hit their 2 tight ends on some routes down the field this season. I think that's one way you can take care of this Chiefs pass defense. And I think that's going to do it as far as the Bills offense is concerned. As far as the Bills defense is concerned, in my opinion, it really comes down to stopping Travis Kelce in this one. He's really gone off on the Bills in the past. I'll get to the stats here if I can bring them up quickly. This past week, 117 yards receiving, which was the 9th career postseason game with at least 100 receiving yards for Kelce. That's the most in NFL history. He also holds the record for most receptions in playoff history, second in yards receiving and touchdowns. He trails only Jerry Rice in those categories. And against the Bills in 8 career playoff games, Kelce has gone for over 75 yards on 5 occasions. He's recorded fewer than 57 yards receiving only once. He's totaled 53 receptions over those 8 matchups, and he's recorded 8 touchdowns along the way. So you got to get a body on him. You got to locate him at all times. There's so many times throughout the course of games you see Travis Kelce running wide open down the field. That can't happen this week. Matt Milano's got to get involved. The communication between Taron Johnson, and Terrell Bernard at the Bills' second level. And then Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin are going to have to figure it out in the back end. I thought Taylor Rapp played a big role in defending Travis Kelce the first time around this season. And without Rapp, Bishop and Hamlin will be called upon to defend him when it comes to him breaking deep into the secondary this week. So you really got to slow down Kelce. And then, of course, there's Patrick Mahomes. And this is really a Superman versus Batman matchup versus Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And with a win in this game and a win in the Super Bowl, Josh Allen could inch closer to kind of becoming Superman V2 to Mahomes Superman V1. But right now, I think Allen just a notch below due to the lack of postseason success, particularly against the Kansas City Chiefs. But this weekend, Allen and Mahomes will become just the fifth set of starting quarterbacks to face one another in at least 4 postseason games since 1950. And that joins an elite list. You have Terry Bradshaw, Ken Stabler, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, Brett Favre and Steve Young, Brady and Joe Flacco. That may be the least esteemed of the list, although Flacco is Super Bowl champion, so we'll give him his flowers there. They also played 4 times in the playoffs, all of those quarterback matchups. But this is really becoming an historic matchup between these two. And I mentioned Kelce. Obviously, Mahomes, it goes without saying, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, the best quarterback in the league right now. And what he can do with his arm goes without saying. I think the key to slowing Mahomes in this one is slowing his ability to extend plays and really extend drives with his legs. You don't see him used in the running game a lot with design runs, read option stuff, this, that, and the other thing. But I think when he gets outside of the pocket, he just seemingly waddles past opposing defenders down the sideline, tiptoeing along the boundary. He's able to pick up those extra yards and turn 3rd and longs into first downs. You have to find a way to thwart that if you're the Bills this week. A lot has been said about the cage rush from the pass rush when it comes to the Bills defending against quarterbacks like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson in the past. And once again, you have to employ that cage rush this week against Mahomes and company to keep him from escaping the pocket and getting out and extending those drives, And we have JG chiming in, watching the replay of the 2023 divisional loss to KC. Really is amazing how much the roster turnover that the Bills had. And yeah, of course, you lose your top 2 receivers in Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, all the changeover on the defensive side of the ball with Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and the injuries you were dealing with in that game. You didn't have Matt Milano. You didn't have Terrell Bernard. So it's an entirely different defense here. And yeah, JG says it was on NFL Network and it was playing in my hotel as I got to Kansas City on the TV. So I think all of Kansas City trying to remind Bills fans, Bills players, and the entire NFL world just exactly what's happened the past 3 matchups between these 2 teams and these 2 quarterbacks. Talked about even Steven. I think one more thing that the Bills are going to have to overcome in this game is the raucous environment in Arrowhead Stadium. Lots been said about that over the years. I think it's one place that can really rival what Bills fans bring to the table in terms of their distraction of opposing teams that walk into Orchard Park. I've never been to Arrowhead Stadium, but hearing it just on the broadcast and hearing my colleagues talk about it, hearing some fans talk about it, it's certainly going to be something for the Bills to contend with tomorrow evening. They've won 2 straight playoff games at home. They're 10-0 at home on the season. Not that they've been any slouches on the road this year, but they're going to have to get it done on the road in this raucous environment. Utilize the silent count to their advantage on offense and make sure they're all buttoned up in that regard. And you can't let the Chiefs kingdom have any false start assists or anything like that. You have to keep the momentum on your side. You have to remain buttoned up, as I said. Keep it a clean game. And much like the Bills used the Steelers' renegade to their advantage in that game when the Bills clinched their first AFC East title in quite some time, when You had Matt Barkley swinging the heavy jacket over his head with the playing of Renegade inside Heinz Field. You kind of have to use the Chiefs' tomahawk chop to your advantage. That is sure to be relentless on Sunday, and it can wear you down unless you're able to use it to your advantage. And we'll see if the Bills can do that this weekend. All right, before we get out of here, and one final word from me and my prediction, one more thanks to our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville. At Forefathers Organics, their mission is to liberate, educate, and innovate with the highest quality CBD and hemp-derived products for your mind, body, and soul so you can live happy and free. I'm trying to pull up my ad read. I almost had it memorized. Visit them at 87 Franklin Street in Dansville, online at forefathersorganics.com, or call them at 585-335-2223 to learn more about the products they offer. All right, my final thought. Years ago, the late Tim Russert prayed on national television for the Bills to somehow, some way, win a Super Bowl. Well, I'm here to do something similar. As someone who grew up a diehard Bills fan, going through the drought as a 300-level season ticket holder, I simply plead, please, God, please let the Bills have a chance. Just a chance at winning the Super Bowl. I'm not asking for a win. I'm asking for a chance, because in life, all you can ask for is an opportunity. And that is what I'm asking for, God. Please let the Bills have a chance to win the Super Bowl this season. And with that, my prediction, give me the Bills to win this one, 27-24. Tyler Bass sending Buffalo to the Super Bowl with a game-winning field goal just inside the right upright. Give me the Bills, baby. We'll see you next time.